Hello and welcome to Blindspotting, the show where we play a game we haven't played before, or at least one of us hasn't played before. And today we're playing Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
This is a little different though because I have played this and you are currently in the process of playing this.
Yeah, so normally we'll have the person who has played it play the game and tell the other person about it and why they should be playing it. In this case, I wanted to play the game, so I am actually playing it. So it's a blind spot for me, but it won't be for much longer.
It seems like you've acquired a fair bit of health and you appear to have 99 hearts. So I would assume you're pretty much through the main campaign.
I actually am not. So the way I have been playing the game is taking my time and trying to clear out all of the occupied encampments and doing all the side quests because I want to level all my weapons up because I feel like that'll make all the main story missions that much easier.
Yeah, that's how I play almost every Far Cry game, is I do as little of the story as possible and just grind and try to get all the best loot from hunting and doing other random stuff. And then when you play the actual story, you're just like a beast.
Yeah, so that's typically how I play most games anyway. I try to put off the main storyline for as long as possible and just play as many side quests. But yeah, it's definitely been beneficial to have more health and all kinds of cool weapon upgrades. Like the sniper rifle I was using has explosive shots, so I now have a pretty good way of dealing with the dragons if I ever have to kill one.
What a great game this is.
It is. In fact, I would rather have a full-fledged Far Cry Blood Dragon game than what Far Cry 5 is actually going to be. Maybe we can talk about that later or not, but...
I feel like this is what like Duke Nukem Forever should have been. Like, it embraces that sort of irreverent humor that Duke Nukem had, where there's, like, cheesy one-liners and 80s action stars and like insane interesting weapons, and just like it's legitimately funny at most parts. Like when you save scientists, they always have something dumb to say. But
yeah, the save a nerd missions.
Exactly. It's so like every bit of it is so good. This is a rare game where like the main part of it is like most Far Cry games, or most Ubisoft games really, you're going around and conquering like strongholds, and every time you conquer a stronghold you unlock part of the map. Or I think in this one you have to unlock a certain number of strongholds to unlock a part of the map. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah. There's like an island I can't get to yet.
And so I did all of those, and it was so fun. Once you unlock all of them, you have an option to set all of them back to being locked, so you can reconquer all of them. And I did that twice because it was so fun. Oh, really? Yeah, it's this game is so fun.
I was going to ask if there was a reason to keep playing it after the main story.
Yeah, you can just set all strongholds to, and by that time you're kitted out with so much crazy stuff because every weapon has like insane upgrades that make them even crazier.
Yeah, I was gonna say the guns are really, really fun. Like for one, I love the aesthetic of this. Like, I'm super into that whole 80s like synthwave aesthetic to begin with, but the fact that all the weapons feel really unique and cool, and there's like really awesome animations that go along with them.
Yeah, it's so satisfying to, especially like the stealth stuff where you can sneak up and like chain stealth takedowns, or like do a stealth takedown and like take the guy's grenade and throw it at another guy, or just like it's so satisfying to play.
Yeah, it's over the top, but in like the best way.
Look at the way you hold the shotgun even. It's like on your robotic arm.
Yeah, it's so great. And then when you like reload, you do the whip around, because it's based on the one from Terminator, right?
Yeah.
So you do that animation, and this pistol is based on RoboCop one, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I've only seen RoboCop like once.
I believe it's the RoboCop pistol.
That makes sense to me.
But yeah, it's all very, very cool, and it's all based on 80s nostalgia, and that's one of the reasons why it's great. It just feels really, really satisfying to run around and shoot things, and so I can see, even after the story's over, wanting to actually go back and reset things and do them all over again.
And this is a game series, like Far Cry, I guess all series, I tend to go the stealth route, but the weapons and action in this game are so good. I sometimes just couldn't help but just go in guns blazing, which is very rare for me.
Yeah, I play that way too. Most of the time I prefer stuff. Like in Skyrim, I would always sneak around with a bow rather than just run in with a melee weapon.
Same.
But with this game, I usually will start off trying to sneak around, and then I end up blowing my cover and having to, just run in and kill everybody.
Another great thing about this is the mobility. Like, you can increase your speed so much that when you're running, you're like really hauling ass because you're a robot. Basically, you're like a cyborg.
Yeah.
So like running around, like I remember, it's almost a joy when you get objectives because once you defeat a stronghold, you can get missions from the stronghold that are like close by. But it is like a joy to have a little bit far away to go because you can just haul ass running and then just like come upon a group of people and just do like a jumping stealth, like death from above takedown and just start kicking ass.
It's true. I have yet to take a vehicle that wasn't required for like a mission. Mm-hmm. I usually just run around because you run so fast, but also the movement is very, very satisfying. And it surprised me how well the graphics held up.
Yeah.
Because this is a 360 PS3 generation game, right?
That's what I played it on. I played it on Xbox 360 because that's what I played Far Cry 3 on.
I was so impressed with how good this game looks still. Maybe it's because I'm playing it on PC and the PC graphics and frame rate are better than what I'm sure the 360 would have looked like. But I have gone back and looked at some video from Far Cry 4, which I played on PS4, and it doesn't look this good. I don't think it graphically held up quite as well.
The only unfortunate thing about it is how short it is.
Yeah, so this was a DLC for Far Cry 3, right? So it's not like a full game.
It is standalone, though. You don't have to have Far Cry 3 to play it.
Which is why, honestly, and maybe the aesthetic and the silly over-the-top story makes it, that's why it's a short game and not a full-fledged game. Mm-hmm. But I would love it if they would do a full-fledged game.
That would be great. I mean, so you haven't done a lot of the story, but the story definitely mixes up the gameplay also. Like, some crazy stuff happens towards the end of this game. It also is probably pretty cheap, right?
Yeah, so it was like $15, I think.
Yeah, that's a perfect price for this.
Yeah. What was it originally?
I don't remember.
It was probably $20?
Maybe. I don't remember. It's so long ago. It was Xbox 360, man. It was so long ago.
Yeah, but this is also like would have been the perfect like XBLA title back in the day.
I can't think of anything I don't like about it except for that it's too short, which is a great thing to say about a game.
Yeah, it's I guess that's one of those good problems to have. Maybe?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I guess we're talking about this is because Far Cry 5 is imminent, and they have announced their season pass with a number of, I guess you'd call them spiritual successors to this. Basically, the way they do DLC for Far Cry's, I guess now, is to just like port the engine over to a little like vignette of another story. One of them is like a Space Marines type thing. I forget what the other ones are, but it's such a cool idea.
There's a Vietnam one and there's a zombies one.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. And I mean, none of them sound as good as this because this is just a masterpiece, I would call this.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's such a good idea for a DLC to just like use existing assets and technology and port it over to something insane.
And this is like, I guess, just a small, I want to say microcosm, maybe that's the wrong word, but of what the Far Cry formula is. So it's everything that you would get in a big Far Cry game, but it's like condensed. And maybe that's why the graphics look better. I don't know. Maybe it could just be that it's an art style, and art styles tend to hold up over time rather than realistic graphic.
That's very true. There's always these debates about like, oh, you're approaching the uncanny valley and like these graphics look so good, we're so close to photorealism, but the games you really remember are the like crazy aesthetically unique ones like this one and Like another example is everyone hated Wind Waker when it came out, but that's like now one of the most loved Zelda games, and everyone loves the art style.
Yeah, because it looks really, really good still.
Yeah, there's something to be said for great graphics and being photorealistic and things like that, but I feel like I almost always am in favor of interestingly artistic games.
I would agree. I am also much more in favor of that. I guess I like realistic looking graphics, and maybe it depends on what the game is.
Mm-hmm.
But I like a good like specific art style. Like this is amazing, but that Cuphead game last year that they went for a very specific look, and it was amazing, and it's going to hold up for many, many years. Like it'll probably never get old and bad looking. So what did you know that there was like a map editor or like a scenario creator in past Far Cry's?
Not really. I saw an article about the Far Cry 5 one, but to my knowledge, I mean, I did not really explore that in 3 or 4, but I have heard that the Far Cry 5 one is insane for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, so I didn't know that they existed in past Far Cry games. Apparently it did, but that's one of the news items recently about Far Cry is that their arcade mode is basically, what is that, Mario Maker? But like in Far Cry.
Yeah, and they are borrowing assets from some of their other Ubisoft games. Like, I think I saw they were borrowing from Assassin's Creed and maybe even Watch Dogs as well.
Oh yeah, the first Watch Dogs, not the second one. But yeah, that's really interesting. And Far Cry 5, even though I would rather it be just a full-fledged Blood Dragon game, the value proposition for Far Cry is seeming really, really high.
All Ubisoft games, I feel like, they just pack so much. Like I saw the map for, I don't think it was the Egyptian Assassin's Creed. It might have been Black Flag, so it was a while ago. But it's just so dense with activities. And I feel the same way about any Far Cry game. It's just like there's so much to do, and there's so many hours you can sink into it.
Yeah, we're in an era where games as service is like the main thing everybody wants. Yeah. And it's not like a persistent online thing, but there is co-op and they're adding new stuff to it. So it's all about player retention or bringing people back. And it seems like Far Cry 5 is going to do a really good job of that.
I did read the entire campaign was co-opable.
Yeah, which Far Cry 4 wasn't, right?
I don't remember, because we played a little bit of Far Cry 4 together, but we just did it to like mess around. I don't think we actually... I remember we did invade one, remember there were like 4 fortresses in that game that were...
Oh, yeah.
We did one of those together, and it was really easy because we worked together. But I don't know if we could I don't think that we could do story missions together.
Yeah, but now you can, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I believe 100% of Far Cry 5 is playable with a friend, I think.
So that's why I've been trying to convince you to get it, because I kind of want to play co-op with you. So what are your feelings on Far Cry 5, and are you up for getting it?
I don't know. I had no interest in the Far Cry series. I had rented Far Cry 2 a very long time ago, and that was the one where it was set in Africa, and you had to constantly take malaria pills, and it was like kind of a bummer.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't really on my radar, and then I saw people playing Far Cry 3, and I was like, man, this is insane. This is like crazy free-roaming gameplay. And I bought Far Cry 3 and I got really into it and I beat it. And then obviously this DLC came out and it was great. And I played it way more than I probably played Far Cry 3 more than I played this just because of the length of the game. But so I was very jazzed for Far Cry 4 to come out, and it met a lot of my expectations. It was very fun and had new interesting guns and things like that. And I don't really remember any DLC for it now that I'm thinking about it. But
yeah, I don't think we played any of the DLC.
Was there DLC?
I
Oh, that's right. There was a Yetis thing where you would like go up into the mountains and there were Yetis. But
was that free?
No, I think it cost money. I have been seeing trailers for Far Cry 5, and for whatever reason, it's not been grabbing me. I don't know if it's the setting or I don't know.
I will say the setting has kind of turned me off a little bit. Striking a little close to home. Maybe it's because we live in the U.S. and it's like just the sort of climate that we're in right now.
I don't know. I think the thing
It
that
seems kind of like a bummer, but
when I think about it now, I think the thing that makes it a bummer for me is I hate hillbillies and the country.
Yeah.
I don't want to like have to explore the country. That feels like work to me. That's like a game where like obviously you're going to be killing a bunch of people and doing a bunch of awesome stuff, but like I don't want to play a game set in like a Walmart, you know?
Right. Yeah. That was one of the appeals for Far Cry 4. It was an exotic locale that you could go you could explore it, and it was very, very cool. It like you say, it does strike me as being a little bit of a bummer because you're going to be listening to a lot of
country music.
Yeah, country hicks the whole time, and that is not aesthetically pleasing to me.
Tractors and hay bales and just like garbage everywhere. I don't know.
I have been more interested in the DLC stuff that they showed off for the season pass, like the Mars one, even the zombies, even though I'm a little tired of zombies at this point. But the Vietnam one, I really want them to do another Blood Dragon, but maybe the arcade stuff, maybe that's something that people can create, something similar.
My plan right now, because it comes out next week, I think, right? The 20th?
I think it's maybe the week after that. I'm not sure.
My plan is to watch some people play it on Twitch, and usually if I watch somebody play something on Twitch for like 2 or 3 hours, I will either know I'm going to buy a game or no I'm not, and that's the deciding factor for me. So I'll watch some stuff. I might watch a review, although that tends to not change my mind about things. I just need to see like the fun loop and like interesting gameplay. And also another thing I'm not super into about it, Far Cry 5, I think, is you constantly have a partner with you, I think. Like you can have a dog or you can have people. And I am not into like micromanaging. In Mass Effect, I would always set everyone to just auto because I didn't want to deal with them. I like a solo, I like stealth, things like that.
Well, you're not leveling them up though, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
They're just like followers.
They are. I actually have no idea. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm very TBD.
I think I saw a video recently where they had, I don't remember what his name is, one of the guys that could be one of your followers or companions, and they were trying to hide and stealth their way through it, and he totally just ran out in front of everybody, but they like didn't notice him, so it was fine. So maybe the villains only respond if they see you.
I like that you called them villains.
Well, I mean, that's what they are, right?
yeah, I guess. I don't know.
The bad guys of the game.
TBD, I guess, is my main thing to say about Far Cry 5. But what I'm not TBD about is how great Blood Dragon is. Yeah,
it so far I've been very, very impressed with it. And I played it because, for one thing, I knew I was going to love the aesthetic, but also I was trying to get hyped for the new Far Cry. Because I am not 100% that I'm going to get it, but I'm leaning towards getting it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to play a Far Cry again. And I don't know what happened to my copy of Far Cry 4. Maybe I sold it. I don't know. But this was available for $15, and I was super into the aesthetic. So,
such a good game.
At some point, we should put together a list of all the best 80s inspired things, like movies and games and stuff.
I like that.
This has been Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Thanks for joining us.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Oh, we should do the robot sign-off.
What is
because
the robot?
Because there's robots that you're fighting. Just sound like a robot.
You do it and I'll imitate you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Mine was a happy robot.
It did sound happier.